What's something you did during 6 that was so stupid you still facepalm about it today? I fucked my ex. I haven't noticed it until after some minutes. She says, I don't know what you're doing. But can you put it inside? First time I saw a penis, I was like, wow, so that's it. I meant like, wow, it's actually there. Here it is. But he understood it like it wasn't big or something, lol. Like, where's the rest of it? In college, my girlfriend was riding me in my dark bedroom me summer night. She was vigorously gyrating that I could feel her sweat dripping on me. Afterward we kissed and cuddled. When we turned on the light we discovered she had a bloody nose and her blood was all over my neck and chest. One girl I was with in high school was on top. And I had to fart real bad. I wasn't sure what to do, so I just tried to hold it in. She started to get more into it and picked up the pace, which caused a series of tiny rhythmic farts every time she came down. It sounded like a machine gun. She stopped and asked if I farted and I blamed the squeaky bed. She knew this was a bit of a misunderstanding. But when my boyfriend and I first got together, I was going to give him a blowthrob, so I took the gum out of my mouth and I thought I put it in the trash bin. I did not. After we finished I went to the bathroom and saw gum all over my hair. I guess it was still on my hand when I put my hair up with a hair tie. So I said, man, this takes me back to my childhood. Referring to the gum stuck in my hair. When I walked back into his room, his face had changed from happy bliss to complete concern. After a pause he finally says he was so sorry and that we didn't have to do that again. He hadn't seen the gum in my hair. He thought I was talking about a childhood filled with blowjobs. Once we figured out the mix-up, he was still a bit shaken by my childhood. I had sex with a deaf chick and I was moaning really loud. But she couldn't hear it. So I gave her a thumbs up for half of it. It became an inside joke. I asked my boyfriend to talk dirty to me. In the middle of sex he starts saying in my ear, "Frock you. Frock you." I let it happen and afterwards burst out laughing, telling him to never do that again. My husband was trying to talk dirty to me and finished a sentence calling me a silly goose. Sex was postponed for a good 15 minutes while I laughed my ass off. An old girlfriend of mine said she wanted to be slapped while we were going at it. After 100% ensuring she really wanted to be slapped, I slapped her. I missed her cheek and smacked her right in the nose. She yelled, "Ow, frock," but thankfully didn't hold it against me. He said, "Arch your back." While we were doing it doggy style and I arched it the wrong way. Up. And he had to say, "No, the other way." Edit. Thanks for all the awards. Glad my suffering, and his, probably, can bring you all joy. Getting my wife's bra off. Too many damn straps and crap. I muttered, "Rubik's boob." And we started laughing so hard we killed the moment. Having sex while standing, holding GF face to face. And supporting her off the ground with my arms under her legs. Yeah, you have to have some strength to do this. So she's all into this new position. And my arms are getting tired. So I have the idea to walk forward and put her back against the wall. Except it was the patio sliding glass door. In January, which was freezing cold. Bare GF back against a cold piece of glass. Nope. That definitely broke the mood. The first time he went down on me he had a slight cold and I was super nervous. So he's going at it. Right up in there and my brain decided to ask him, "How's your nose?" He just looked up at me, shook his head, and kept going, thankfully. My girlfriend a while ago liked to do the ice cube, cup of tea blowthrob trick. One night we didn't have any ice cubes. Only a bag of frozen peas. She went down on me with a mouthful and it turns out that peas in the mouth defrost really fast. After about 20 secs she choked and coughed blowthrob mushy peas all over me and my new sheets. Improvise. Adapt. Overcome. The first time I tried to kiss a guy, I closed my eyes, went forward with my mouth open, and bit his chin. My boyfriend at the time was trying to take my tight jeans off, and struggling mightily to get them over my hips. I lifted my hips up to assist with the process and the jeans came off quickly and he flew backwards and hit his head on the wall. It was absolutely hilarious and I laughed. He did not find it equally funny. And 60 times were put off so he could nurse his head injury and his pride. On my honeymoon, my now ex-husband and I decided to get drunk, eat snacks and watch Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. While doing so, we started fooling around and trailed off to the bedroom to finish what we started. While I started going down on him, I noticed he was squirming and saw him wincing when I looked up. I asked him what was the matter, to which he replied, "It burns." And it was only then I realized I had just been snacking on extra flaming hot Cheetos right before. After rushing to get a wet cloth and repeatedly apologizing, I couldn't stop laughing at the fact that I just gave my new husband a flamin' hot blowthrob. Gettin' hot and heavy with my GF in bed. Making out and getting ready to start the main event. We're whispering back and forth to each other when I say, "I wanna be inside you." To which she immediately responded, "What? What did you say?" After a very confusing moment, I realized she thought I said, "I want to pee inside you." It kinda killed the mood. By the way, frocking autocorrect almost made me post this as gettin' hot and heavy with my grandfather in bed. Glad I'm a paranoid proofreader. Going. Ooh wee. When I came. Her roommate had friends over and they still make fun of me to this day for it. She, who's very insecure, queefs very loud, and leans forward, looks back at me, lip shaking like she's going to cry. I'm not grossed out or anything, but I do kinda feel bad for her. I seized this opportunity to let out a fart that I'd been holding in, and followed up with, "It's okay. I do it too sometimes." It was unsuccessful. She just started bawling. A girl invited me over to her house to watch the Wonder Woman movie. While we're watching it, she starts kissing on me and teasing me. I said, "What about the movie?" She says to me, "Come on to the bedroom, it'll be better than the movie," and while we're going at it she says, "See, isn't this better than the movie?" And before I could catch myself I said, "I don't know, I haven't seen the rest of the movie." My very first time. With a gal who was out of my league. We stripped off our clothes and were making out. And both of us totally naked. I said, "So, what next? Do I ask for a blowthrob?" She laughed it off and said, "Let me take the lead on this one. I miss her." Not me, but my girlfriend and I were in the middle of 6 times and we had been wanting to get more comfortable with dirty talk, and after a little bit of back and forth she said, "How bad do you want this dig? I mean, fussy." We just laughed it off. But she still gets embarrassed thinking about it to this day. When I came, my upper body froze up and I drooled on her face. I felt the spit making its way out and I couldn't move my arms or body. This happened twice with the same girl. Okay. There are two. 1. My husband was going down on me and when I came I let out a massive fart. Right. In. His. Face. 2. You know those Listerine fresh breath strips? Well, if you put one in your mouth and let it dissolve, then go down on your partner, it can give a nice sensation for them. I was waiting for my husband in a very dark bedroom and I reached for the breath strips. But instead of putting one in my mouth I ended up putting what must have been 8 or 9. They started melting and it was overwhelming. My husband came in and turned on the light to find me scooping blue goop out of my mouth. Blue drool on my chin. And my eyes watering. Not exactly the sexiest scenario. So I met this girl at a bar one night. She had very vibrantly red hair. So I end up going home with her. All was well. We exchanged numbers and I left. So we meet up again and her hair is bluer than the sky. So I say, "Oh sit. I like the new hair color." So she proceeds to tell me they are wigs. She had destroyed her hair and shaved it off. So, now wigs. The facepalm is. One night she's giving me oral. I look over and there's 2 different wigs next to me. I still don't know what possessed me to do it. But I took the one on her head off and, naturally, put a different one on. One time I slipped off the bed and literally fell out of her. Lost my virginity to a girl with an IUD. So we just kinda raw dogged it. Basically I nutted in like 30 seconds but didn't wanna disappoint, so I just kept going for like 15 minutes till she was like, "Yo, are you good?" And I told her I nutted like ages ago and we laughed. Not me but my husband. He was being silly. Jumped up on the bed but hit the overhead light with his hand, raining pieces of glass onto said bed and cutting a gash in his calf. No sex for us that night. Not really bad but weird. I was having sex with my GF in the missionary position and out of nowhere she stuck her middle finger up my ass. No warning or anything. What really freaked me out was I came instantly. Didn't have any control over it. First time. I put it in and just expected things to happen. I mean, it felt warm and nice. But not even close to how good it felt when I masturbated. We figured things out the second time round though. So when I'm drunk and tired I start saying extremely weird things with no recollection of it afterwards. 6 is no exception here unfortunately. The worst thing I've said was probably my reply to a, "How was it?" when I supposedly just dryly shrugged and said nothing to be proud of. I farted while getting a BJ. I'm sorry I couldn't hold it in any longer. I once asked a girl if she came and she said she didn't know. I told her, "You probably did." My ex farted as he came once. He cared so much and never let it down. I didn't care at all. Miss you, Joe. You piece of shit. That movie with Ben Stiller and Jennifer Aniston where he counts to 50 before coming to make sure he lasted. Yeah, I frocking did that. It was a quickie. I yelled, 50. And she looked at me like I have Tourette's instead of making an obscure movie reference. I was nervous around my first college crush. After a few weeks of talking I finally got her into my room. We were on my bed making out. Getting touchy-feely. I realized pretty quickly that she wasn't wearing any panties under her short shorts. I looked down and said, "I can see your vajayjay." She laughed awkwardly. Said she had to go and we never spoke romantically again. Accidentally tried to put it in the wrong hole my first time. She even had to say, "Ah, wrong hole." The movies always made it seem like everything would just line up perfectly. Wouldn't have to look and line things up. Like I could just slide on in without breaking eye contact. I now know a bit better. One of my first times I thought for some reason unlubricated condoms were the way to go. They were not. Not long after getting into it we both got friction burned. She was screaming. I was screaming. I was literally bleeding after. Took about a month to heal up. There was not a second time for us. 6 with a bald girl. I'm hitting from the back and I am super thorny and in the moment I couldn't think of an alternative to hair pulling so I just grabbed her head like a frocking basketball. She starts dying laughing immediately. Edit. Thanks for all the awards praying she's not a regular AskReddit user. Edit number 2. Wow, I'm glad you all got a good laugh out of it. I didn't think it was that funny when it happened but in retrospect it is pretty funny lol. Not me. But a very good friend of mine had the total hots for a girl. Had been working on getting her interested for the longest time. Took her out. Wined and dined her. Got her finally to come back to his place. Put some nice music on. Candles. Wine. Setting a lovely mood. They were making out. Clearly. Things were about to happen. She took off her top exposing what he now describes as spectacular and exquisite alabaster breasts. And he exclaimed in giddy surprise. Oh God, they're massive. Like an absolute moron to the gods of boobies. Which of course, she was not bowled over by. She started crying, pulled her top back on and left. It's been 20 odd years. He still brings it up whenever he has a remorse boner. That time we headbutted instead of kissing after coitus. I've always been into name calling and my fiance's a nerd. He hasn't done this kind of thing before. So I was super thorny. Close to an orgasm and asked him to call me names. He goes, "Do you like this dig? You unemployed lady?" I was like, WTF. My unemployment status during COVID times is the last thing I want to be reminded of during 6. Lol. Edit. Thank you. Kind Reddit strangers. My unemployed ass is grateful for the awards. Mistaking. Pillow talk. 4. Stand-up routine. Whispering. I want to be inside of you. Instead of, I want you inside of me. To a new male partner. My buddy fell asleep in the middle of it. On top of her. And he was much bigger than she was. When my wife and I first met, I moved my head downtown to have fun with her lady bits. But didn't have enough space at the bottom of the bed. The foot of the bed frame was in the way. So I licked and kissed my way from her waist up to her earlobes and then sensually whispered. Scoot up. We died laughing for a good 10 minutes before we got back to it. When it was my first time, I didn't really know what to do. So I thought it would be a good idea to copy what I saw in a dumb teen movie. So once I'm about to put it in I start laughing as if someone was tickling me cause that's what they did in the movies. She just said, "YTF are you laughing?" It was very awkward. 6. So embarrassing. 14-year-old me never having jerked off. Getting frisky with my first girlfriend when she asks if I'm close. I say I don't know. Does it feel like peeing? She says I think so. I proceed to pee everywhere while I run to the bathroom. Well, I didn't mean to do this but I was having major stomach issues one day and my BF at the time wanted to have 6. As we were just about to do it doggy style, I let out the biggest and loudest fart right in his face. Needless to say, we stopped then and there, and I'll never forget that. LMAO. We'll a hook up and I were going at it. And she wanted to give me head. And while she was putting her hair back, the TV in the background, which happened to be Star Wars, said something about the Force. My 5-brain cell self thought it was a good idea to make a snarky comment about the Force, while flexing my dig going up and down. She busted out laughing, and so did I, and 6 Drive went out the door because we were too busy laughing at how stupid I am. A very straight MFM threesome and I put both digs in my mouth at the same time. BC, I saw it in porn. The men did not like quite that, but it did bring them closer together as friends. My ex and I were basically virgins and were exploring each other in the bedroom when we dated. One night I did the giving a hickey on the ear trick and she loved it, so the next night she thought to do the same to me, but she actually bit down hard on my earlobe, causing me to bleed all over her pillows. She basically pulled a Mike Tyson on me. I still laugh at that 3 years later. She was laying on me on my couch in a kind of 69 position. Her shorts were pulled down and I was just kind of grabbing her ass and getting closer to her angina. Rubbing and all that. Then I noticed this string and thought it was a thread from her panties. So I naturally wanted to grab it and tear it off. I grab it and give a slight tug and say, "You have a string." I never saw a girl pull her pants up quicker in my life. I knew she was on her period, but I wasn't even thinking. I instantly hugged her tightly and said, "Oh no, I'm sorry," and we just laughed for the next 10 minutes. She was more embarrassed than I was, but goddamn, I felt stupid. I'm just glad we laughed and hugged it off. I was fingering and using toys on my girl while we were stoned and listening to EDM. My high ass has a brilliant idea. I was working my fingers against her G-spot faster and faster as the track was building up. Right when the beat dropped, I smacked her cleat with my hand. Hard. It definitely ruined the moment, but we had a good laugh later. Laying on my bed with my GF giving me a blowthrob. She puts her finger under my balls and I farted super loud. I still get embarrassed thinking about it cause her face was like right there. LMAO. She was a good sport though. Edit. Words. Freshman year of college. Got to drinking with some of our dorm mates and went to a concert. One of them was pretty into me and we were dancing and hooking up, and then decided to go back to our dorm to hook up. We were leaning over like halfway up the bed and making out. Her back was arched over the bed and I scooted too far forward and literally flipped her heels overhead off of the bed and onto her plastic nightstand, smashing it. We carried on and got things done. But in the morning I had to take her to the walk-in clinic because she was in pain and both of her dermal piercings came out and it was gross. She also got stabbed by the broken plastic from the nightstand. Turns out she broke 2 ribs. So yeah, I basically suplexed a girl and still got laid. Not something I did. But a few years ago a now ex of mine and I were watching the first Star Wars prequel. Shortly after Jar Jar was introduced, she said, "Misa Thorny. That still gives me a kick." Me. Oh. Julie. Narrator. Her name was not Julie. My wife snuggled up to me and placed her hand on my groin, to which I replied, "That was a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how this plays out." She ended up laughing so much that it ended the 6th time. First time I tried to suck a dig, I was so nervous I just held it in my hand and started singing that stupid flamingo song while rocking back and forth. Well, I'm a French guy and it was like the 3rd time I had 6 in English. So not my mother tongue. The girl was asking for me to spank her really bad, but it wasn't enough. She was on my bed, ass up face down. I looked at my belt on my desk and said to myself, "Yeah, this will do the trick." So I asked her this stupid question. "Do you want me to use my seatbelt?" She stopped moaning and then looked back and stared at me. At that moment I realized what I just said, and I swear I could see in her eyes that she wondered how I would get a frocking car in my room to spank her with a seatbelt. Was really funny though. Not me, but my freshman year roommate brought a lady home from the bar and asked me if I could give him the room. I knew he was a virgin and the woman seemed consenting and wanting me to take off too. I happily obliged. However, about 10 paces down the hall I heard my roommate scream, "Mortal Kombat." I turned back towards my room. The lady was hurriedly leaving, and as I walked in I saw my roommate totally naked. I asked, "Did you just strip and yell Mortal Kombat as soon as I left?" He replied that he had. I was like, "Ooh, okay bro, let's have a chat." Still cracks me up to this day. Not exactly during 6, but my wife and I were tripping balls together and had been fooling around. She gets really wet, which I love. And for whatever reason, my acid brain thought it would be a good idea to compare how wet she gets to a swamp. I think my exact words were, "God, I love how wet you get. It's like a swamp." We still laugh about it from time to time. My girlfriend at the time and I were starting to fool around. But when she got my shirt off, she rubbed my shoulders and said, "Frock, I just love your skin." My brain had the simultaneous thoughts, "That's so hot," and "That's some serial killer shit." So my mouth decided to split the difference and say, "We," like I was a kid on a slide. We did not continue. My first time, her angina started bleeding and I was so shocked I thought she was dying. So I started crying. I forgot hot pink anal beads in my butt and walked to the bathroom wondering what happened to them. Turned out I had a tail and my ex was laughing his ass off at me. I went to eat her ass on the first date. That's a third date sort of thing. I felt sort of like a salute. I had a seizure. I'm epileptic. But it really showed how much he cares about me because he stopped everything and made sure I was positioned correctly to be okay. When I came to, he was stressed out and I was like, "Are you gonna put it in or what?" But he explained what happened and that he wasn't in the mood anymore lol. I felt so bad but so touched. I'm still dating him after 5 years and gonna move in with him in 2 months. Edit. 1. It's come to my attention reading the comments below that while I thought this was great, this should be normal. If he were to take action during my seizure, that'd be rape, and you should never take advantage of someone with a disability. Never rape at all. 2. Thanks for the awards. D. 1. I started dozing off when he was frocking me slowly in the spooning position. I was still attempting mumble 6y stuff until I said, "Oh yeah babe, we need to refactor the code." Because it was a long day and I started to dream about work. I think that's one of the least 6y things someone has said in bed. 2. He had gotten me a raccoon onesie for my birthday. So I thought it would be a great idea to dress up in it. Wrap him up in a blanket to resemble a trash bag. And pretend to be a trash panda rummaging through garbage until I discover a sausage. Once I found the sausage, I think I said something the effect of, "OMG, a whole sausage. Today is my lucky day. Thank you sweet Jesus." Unsurprising. The sausage immediately shriveled up and I didn't get to have any that night. This redhead was facing me while riding and wanted me to slap her ass. I do so. She laughs and said I can do better than that. So I wind up for a proper one. The slap glances off her ass cheek and I smack myself in my own nuts. Immediately go limp and in too much pain to speak. Make me laugh out loud to this day. I got with a girl on Tinder and we was watching a movie and she wanted to give me a blowthrob since she was on her period that week. So I pull my pants down and she goes to town and she figured out I was ready to blow, and the moment I come she pulled my cock out her mouth and faced it right at me like a loaded gun, and my cum shot right over my head and some in my hair. So I cooked a lovely meal earlier on in the evening that involved chilies. After the meal we got going and when I used my hands on her we both discovered there was enough chili under my fingernails to cause a reaction. Basically her angina practically caught fire. I have never been screamed at like that since, but she forgave me and now years later we're happily married with a young family. Ooh damn. My time to shine. I'm not very pain tolerant. So I had hyped up in my head how much losing my virginity was going to hurt when my boyfriend, now husband, and I finally decided to go for it. I was relieved it wasn't as bad as I thought, and the first thing I immediately said after insertion was, "That's it." Yeah. Turns out that's not a great self-esteem builder for the guy currently taking your virginity lol. Edit. Removing extra word that was driving me nuts. I went down on my wife and I had one of those magic endless handkerchief things. I said, "What is this?" She gets all weird. I say, "It's a sort of." Then I start pulling 17 handkerchiefs out of her privates with a big stupid smile on my face. She said it killed the mood. I'm like, whatever. Didn't result in 6. But the closest I ever came to 6 in high school. My friend and I were in the basement and getting cozy. Snuggling. Talking. I sit up. She sits back. Opens her legs. Clothed. And gives a come hither with her finger. What do? I lay down with my back through her legs. Back of head on her stomach. Like we were just getting more comfortable and a better view of the TV. Completely killed the mood. Never came that close with her again. I realized my mistake literally the moment it happened, but it was too late. Still don't know what I was thinking or what took my body over to do something like that. Went in raw. And now I have a toddler-aged kid. Obligatory, not me but a friend. Girl from a very conservative sheltered Christian family in the South goes to college and starts to experience more of the world. Ends up with her first boyfriend ever and they eventually make their way to doing the deed. Long story short, as he neared climax he asked, "Who's your king, baby?" Her immediate reply stemmed from her childhood. JESUSSS. Both came instantly. Was with my girlfriend at the time and I had her legs up over my shoulders. Was going like the clappers but periodically slipping out, so once we were done she ended up squirming around on the floor, continually queefing whilst belly laughing at it. Didn't make us cringe, just found it hilarious. I was having sex with my now husband. And a silent but deadly fart slipped out. Suddenly the room starts filling with the awful smell. Impulsively I decide I need to quickly pin the blame on someone so that he doesn't know it was me, and without thinking I say, "Ew, did you fart?" Obviously it was me. He knew he didn't fart. I knew I did, but he was such a gentleman, he just said, "Yeah, that was me, sorry." When the post-nut clarity hit I literally said, "That was a mistake." She was ready to go. I was about to go down on her and thought it would be funny to yell, "All hail the magic conch." Then proceed to OODLOOODLOODLOO between her legs. Never before had I seen my fiancé dry up so quickly and get so red with annoyance before. Needless to say, no sex was had that night and I've never done it since.